Welcome everybody. This is gonna be a first game in a best of 7 Two Pools Shomatch here in Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Two teams facing off against each other over here. On the left side of the map, it's gonna be Tato and Viper, Team Secret, in red and yellow, playing as Vietnamese, and we will have Franks as well for Secret. And on the other side, we will have for Aftermath. Right side, Leary playing as Japanese and Hera playing as Teutons. So, for those who haven't seen this tournament format previously, basically, you get one of the civilizations from your opponent. So, each team has one civilization that the opponent gave them for every game. In this our case, we have Franks that has been picked by Team Secret, and that is utilized by Viper over here. And for Tato, who is playing Vietnamese, that was the civilization that was given from them. From AM. Meanwhile, on the other side, their pool 1 civilization, Leary, is utilizing Japanese. This is the civilization they selected for themselves, and they receive Teutons from Team Secret here to play. So, as expected for Arabia, we do have an Archer Civ and the Cavalry civilization being utilized, with the Vietnamese being the Archer Civ here and the Franks being the Cavalry civilization. Probably standard Scouts and Archers will be the play here for Tato and Viper. One thing that's super important, and that's something to point out, we have the no laming policy involved, so they cannot steal boars from their opponents, and that's one way that you could otherwise utilize Vietnamese. But as you can see, Vietnamese do see where their opponents started. That's a very valuable important information, so that could be good for laming, but that could also be very useful for opening with a Drush. So maybe Drush into Archers, Man-at-Arms into Archers are also in the play for Tati. Meanwhile, we got Viper here, who is gonna be playing Franks, probably like fairly early click up for Scouts. He's gonna have a nice little board at the back that's gonna be fairly easy to lure in, and I think it's time to discuss the maps of each individual player. So this specific Arabia map type appears to have fairly Black Forest-like map layouts, a lot of decently sized wood lines that are just surrounding the players. So as you can see over here, Tato fairly walled from the south over here as he's luring in the second board. We'll probably have to wall here on the front. This is a bit trickier because he's got the bears exposed, but the gold could be something that he can secure fairly well if he walls it here and here. And same thing, it's gonna be a bit trickier to wall. I feel like the most reasonable walling for Tato is gonna be just here, and with that, he could just wall it here as well, and he's gonna be fine. So it's not an impossible walling for Tato, it's a bit trickier as he's pushing in the deer from a fairly long distance, but that is gonna give a big boost to his eco. That is a much needed boost to your eco because you are playing Vietnamese, and that's one of the civilizations in the game that do not have any eco bonus, so you are trying to grab some sort of advantage compared to your opponent. Meanwhile, on their side, Japanese is definitely an interesting pick here. I'm not saying it's impossible to go for Japanese. It's a decent Archer Civ, even though it's not stellar. Very good with the Man-at-Arms opening, very good with the Drushes, so I would actually anticipate Leary to go for some sort of an opening like that, and then of course go into Archers. Meanwhile for Hera, a lot of possibilities exist. That's probably the biggest dark horse in terms of civilization selections, as Viper is scouting Hera. So he's like, okay, what is Hera preparing? Is he preparing for Man-at-Arms and Towers, for example? Is he just gonna play this standard as a scout civilization? We all know Hera loves his scouts, so there's a chance that Hera is just gonna play this with standard scouts here. On the northern side of the map, Viper, kind of straightforward, he's gonna pick up at 20 population. As you can see, 2 villagers queued up, then Loom, and then he's gonna pick up to Feudal Age, or he's scouting the base of Hera over here. Viper's own base, it's not that glorious, but I guess with some smart walling he could still make it happen. The gold is somewhat exposed. I think this is the trickiest place to wall, and then you have to wall it here, oh, a lot of walls. This is very tricky for them to wall, as Hera is gonna avoid a lot of arrow fire on his own scout. Meanwhile, Hera does have all 3 of his gold piles clustered together. That's gonna be a bit of a problem for him in the long run. Think about that, but doing some fairly early walls, maybe a fast castle could be in the place here for Hera as well. But nope, he's gonna pick up fairly early. He's just afraid of the scout trade, so standard 21 pop scouts will arrive a bit slower than what Viper can actually achieve here. So Viper's gonna have a slight advantage going into Feudal Age here, and probably drop the barracks and the stable right over here in the front line. This villager is just gonna wall here, and I do assume he could think about walling here and here, or here and here at the back, even though I feel like this is not that great. Anyways, We get the militias coming in from Leary. It's not a big surprise that we are seeing this, because Japanese do have some very nice militias, man-at-arms, depending on how you actually play this. With the type of click-up that Leary is doing, that's 22 villagers, feels like Drush into archers is really what we would call this. Yep, indeed, he's actually queuing up more villagers, and that makes me think if this is going to be a Drush-fest castle. He has a back goal, that's something to point out. Meanwhile, Tato is scouting this, Leary moving in with his own scout to do some damage here. So he's going for the Drush, and that is something that could actually hurt Tato here. Tato has some exposed villagers on the berries. That's not something that Leary sees, right? Nope. Leary knows exactly what's happening. He's going for the berries here. The third militia needs to catch up, so it's a bit of a late arrival from him. But this is not going to be Drush into archers. This is going to be Drush into fast castle with kind of gold at the back. This is actually a great approach. Drush FC crossbows, and Tato will be forced to ward around his berry villagers. Two of them will be forced off the berries. That's already a small win for Leary here, as he's going to take some shots on his scout. The militias will be unable to do any major damage though, and when Taro reaches field age, which will happen in a matter of seconds, then he's gonna have a stronger scout and might be able to take this engagement with the help of a few villagers to reclaim his berries. However, still, some delay is being caused on Taro's eco. As you can see, two of those villagers are just unable to do anything right now. And let's see, he's gonna be forced to place the archer ranges over here at the back, which is also not something that he initially planned, probably wanted to archer range over there. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hera is running away from Viper's scout. Viper does have the Frankish scout, so he's gonna have some extra HP on those. Hera will be fully walled, apparently, and that is gonna be some beautiful walls coming in from our blue player. It's very important here, as the militias are coming in. This is a beautifully placed archer range, by the way, from Taro, because those militias cannot hurt the villagers constructing. Scouts fights might occur here, as Leary is trying to land some shots on Taro, and the gold mine could also be exposed, so there it is. First range coming in, second range coming in as well from Taro is slightly delayed, but he's gonna go for the archers. Now, Vietnamese do not have any good eco bonuses. However, let's not forget, Vietnamese have higher HP on their archers, so that's something to point out as well. And apparently, Viper is coming in to help cleaning up this Drush. Taro does have a bit of an issue with the cleanup here, so that's something to point out as well. So, meanwhile, as expected, Leary will try his best to take a fight, maybe get some shots on Viper scouts, but in the long run, these militias will be cleaned up once the archer numbers arrive from Taro. And as you can see, this is the extra HP of the Vietnamese archers, and this make them actually a decent unit. It's going to be very interesting to take a look at in the long run. But still, Leary is doing some decent microing and just trying to snipe down some scouts from the Viper. Might even be able to do that, but he's just waiting for Hera to come in. Hera will snipe a villager that is off guard. There is going to be Tato coming in with the spearman to deal with this one. I am fairly certain Leary will try to snipe down the spearman here with the militias. Viper loses one scout in the engagement, and the spearman of Tato comes in, lands a shot on the scout of Hera. So the aggression here from Leary is going to get cleaned up, but in return to that, look at that, there is the double ranges coming in, and he's getting close to clicking up to Castle Age. So far, AM is just absolutely wrecking this. I'm a bit surprised on how smooth this start has been. Great strategy choice, I would say. Hera is doing a decent job just delaying Viper so far. No damage was done by Secret. However, Tato was delayed quite a bit. Now it's time for Tato to move up. He does not have a blacksmith. Well, he has a blacksmith, but not researching fletching just yet. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Hera might need a few spearmen to make sure that he doesn't lose these scout fights. Otherwise, this is not really something that he can take. However, he could catch Tato off guard over here. Sniping down a few archers could be great value. There's the spearman coming in from Tadi, and indeed, Hera gets a surround on the archer, lands some shots, but then will be forced to retreat, especially with the spearman from Tadi also coming in. So, Hera not really able to delay any further now. It's gonna be Secret starting to push. However, let's not forget, Leary did his job, already queuing up a lot of archers here. He's gonna be going up to Castle Age, and he will have a lot of crossbows very soon. Meanwhile, though, let's see what Hera is doing here. Viper is pinging the walls here, and that means that they might want to break here, and that's a good one, I would say. So, the thing is, this is very hard to second layer, especially if you have archers around. Hera trying to reinforce these walls, but there is the archers coming in. Tato needs to snipe down those villagers. Decent job from Hera trying to distract the archers, and now he's gonna have some time to second layer this wall, and that means that Secret will not be able to get inside here. They will have to switch to the northern side, and that is just the perfect delay that Hera is doing. Absolutely perfect what he's doing right now. Just adding more and more layers by the time Secret gets in here. Leary can start popping out those crossbows. The timing is fairly good as well. He's already moving forward with the first archers going for crossbowmen. Botkin Arrow should soon follow, and he's going to be going for Tato, who's going to be forced to make a defensive tower on the berries. He's fully walled otherwise, so that's really the only spot where Leary could hurt him. However, this is where it gets interesting. These Vietnamese archers are not super horrible. They do have some extra HP, so it's slightly harder for these crossbows to kill them, especially without Botkin Arrow. And Leary is not queuing up Botkin Arrow just yet. Hera also the first player from the others to click up to Castle Edge. So both AM members will be up to Castle faster than Secret. Meanwhile, for Tato, he is awfully far away from clicking up to Castle Edge. Holy hell. He does have the military numbers, he has 20 military, but he's so far away from clicking up. Meanwhile, for Viper, he just clicked up to Castle Age, so Frankish Knights will soon arrive, but Tato will be forced off his wood by these crossbows if he's not cautious. Still, no Botkin Arrow coming in though. This is super important here. Because if Leary doesn't get the Botkin Arrow, this is a fight that Tato could take using numbers here, and that's exactly what he's gonna do. Hera trying to get some shots on those scouts, but apparently will fail. So Hera's gonna lose all of those scouts, and as expected, like I said, these Vietnamese archers, using their numbers advantage, using the fact that they have extra HP, they could beat down low numbers of Botkin Arrow-less crossbows. Leary just masses the second batch of crossbows back at home as Viper breaks into his base. This is why he was doing it. How did Viper get in? How did Viper get into his base? Don't tell me that there is a hole somewhere. There has to be a hole. And this is big. This is super big. Viper is just running around. This is why Leary was massing the crossbows back at home. Oh man. That's a hole that Leary did not know of. Viper running in. Not sure if he was able to snap down a villager or not, because the kill death ratio is not working. But this is a big one, even if you just force a bit of a delay. Second DC coming up for Leary. Not the greatest spot, because this slumber camp is just blocking it. Meanwhile, once Tato reaches Castle Age and he's going for it, he's gonna have some fairly good crossbows, and this is where it gets interesting. Take a look at Tato's archers. Those will be like 40-45 HP crossbowmen compared to the ones from Leary. So even though Leary does have the eco bonus and Vietnamese do not, just by sheer military quality, it's gonna be Vietnamese advantage. Anyways, Viper still has a bunch of scouts running around. Those could be useful for sniping down early Castle Age monks, so it would be nice if Viper could preserve it, as the second stable is coming in, TC number 2 and 3 on the way for Viper. For Hera, he is gonna be doing this with additional TC coming in, but the third one is not coming just yet. Meanwhile, archers moving here through the map for Tati, as Leary is gonna start sending in the crossbows to apparently Hera's side. You might be considering sniping down some of these archers. And meanwhile, Hera, with the knights moving forward now, he doesn't have +2 armor, and that makes them fairly vulnerable to the archer fire over here. Tato will be fully walled now, so it is gonna be impossible for Hera to do any damage here. So by the time he arrives with the knights, it's too late. Still, crossbows could do some damage here on the wood line, but I think Tato has some nice wood lines at the back he could work with. Anyways, we got the knights coming in from Hera, trying to chase down Viper scouts. Like I said, Viper preserving those scouts is gonna be super important for some fights against monks. Anyways, nice second link here from Tato. That is not something that can be stopped by even Leary's crossbows. Leary is super far away from this engagement, and that means that Hera might be in trouble here. Getting surrounded by archers and knights from the Viper. Viper has way better upgrades, look at that. +2 armor, +1 attack. Meanwhile, for Hera, just +1 armor, and that's it. And there is also Tato with the archers, soon to be crossbows, and that is where it gets very interesting. Take a look at the eco numbers. It's fairly even, I would say. Hera and Leary, slight lead, but it's not super significant. Take a look at the military numbers though. Tato with 28, Leary 28 as well. However, these are 42 HP crossbows compared to the ones from Leary that are just 35, and more importantly, Leary completely forgets about Botkin Arrow. That's not a mistake that he often makes, and that could actually decide the game if the fight actually takes place before he actually gets Botkin Arrow. Anyways, like I said, Hera is not suitable for taking this fight over here. He is getting out-teched massively here. Those knights are just way better than the ones from Hera. So, yep, he's trying to bait these knights of Viper into the crossbows of Leary, and it's working quite well. 3 scouts go down, but the knights are preserved, and that's much more important here. There comes the flood of crossbows coming in from Tato as well. And like I said, Leary It's gonna be tough for him to take this fight even with Botkin Arrow, but without it, it's absolutely awful. So there it is. Moving in with the crossbows and the knights is Viper and Tato. Eco numbers slowly starting to grow for the cavalry players here. Let's see this fight. This is a very well defendable position here from Leary, but like I said, the problem is that he's facing superior crossbows in this engagement. Right now, 26 crossbows from Tato and 31 from Leary, so numbers advantage slightly on the side of Leary here, but like I said, quality should be on the side of Secret. Nice snipes there on the knights. A lot of those knights from Hera are super low HP, and if they can just snipe a few villagers on the wood line, that's already a decent value. Meanwhile, if they can cut off the reinforcements from Hera, that's also a decent value here. Hera still not having the armor upgrades, just gonna go for chain bonding armor, so those knights are fairly vulnerable to archer fire, and this is where it gets interesting. They are moving in to go for Hera, and going for the cavalry civilization is probably the better thing to do in this situation, because Leary, it's gonna be very slow for him reaching Hera's base, because those archers are much slower. So every time you attack the cavalry civilization here, then the archers save, it will take longer for them to reach the combat, and that is gonna be a big issue. University coming in for Leary here, so he's gonna go for ballistics very soon, but this is a big blob of forces, a single layer of palisade separating them from all three of Hera's gold mines, and that is gonna be a disaster if those knights and crossbows get in there. Let's see, indeed, Hera is running away. He's gonna be forced off gold, and this might be the game if that can be sustained. Search stable being added by Secret, or by Hera here, and there it is, the crossbows on the gold. Leary is coming in to help. Leary does have 34 crossbows here, Tade just 25. However, Viper does have almost fully upgraded Frankish knights in this combat. Upgrades are now same for Hera as well, but the problem is that there is no husbandry here, so those guys from Hera are super slow compared to top tier cavalry here. Now meanwhile, this is an interesting micro wars here, both players trying to take the hill. Apparently Tato is getting kind of shredded here. Leary just going for the ballistics upgrade just yet. Still, I think right now the name of the game is just trying to keep these guys away from the gold mines. If they can continuously attack the gold mines of Hera, Hera's gonna be in trouble, because Viper will start outmassing him with knights. Indeed, the front is starting to collapse with knights coming in to start taking down the first stable. Meanwhile, more and more houses coming in from Hera. I'm not sure what he's planning here. He might just be housed. He still has the chance to take gold. Secret knows exactly that there's 3 gold pounds over there for Hera, and that's a big one. Meanwhile, few crossbows taking engagement here on the left side, but Tato is just trying to harass Leary here. That's also one thing to point out. So Leary is forced to help out Hera here, who does have some fairly badly positioned gold mines. So you really want to make sure that those guys will... Oh boy. I think the numbers advantage are on the side of AM over here, so this is not something that Secret could potentially win very easily. But still, those are Vietnamese crossbows. Who knows what they can do against all of these knights, and if they can just snap down the knights of Hera, that's very valuable here for Secret. Indeed, most of those knights will be going down, even though Tato's army is also getting destroyed. However, Tato already in for another push on Leary's base now, and take a look at the ecos here. Viper with 79 villagers, Tato just 65. He is on 3 TCs, going for the 4th one to catch up in villager count. Meanwhile though, take a look at this one. Hera is losing the stables here, and that's a big problem. Forced to repair with 2, and that's even more interesting. Viper is trying to bash his way in over here, and the knight from the inside will prevent any villager from second layering that wall, and that means that more and more knights could flood in from Viper here, unless Hera is able to block them. That's a very nice place. However, like I said, big pressure on these tables. There's the crossbows coming through, and this is the moment when you have to switch targets here. You are Viper, just run towards Leary's base, because there is Tato already waiting for the snipes on the villagers. Overall, villager count seems fairly even for both teams here, as Leary is also on a 3 town centers. Imperial Age coming in for Viper, that's where it gets very rough for AM. Let's see, Hera is not even close to clicking up to Imperial, and that's a problem. Military numbers, Leary has 34, that's a big number, as apparently that will somehow decrease in a fight over here on the far left, but Leary will be able to clean this up fairly well. He has the extra armor, and that makes his crossbows far better than the ones from Tato. However, still Tato is just flooding out more of those Vietnamese archers. The interesting thing about this is going to be that the more the game progresses, the more important that Vietnamese bonus is going to be for those archers. Leary is going to expand towards the gold mine, adding additional ranges for his military production, but Viper will have amazing uptime to Imperial, adding more and more stables. He has 90 villagers. Cavalier will happen very soon. So, when a Cavalier happens, this is gonna be an uphill fight to take for Leary and Hera. Now, they're moving in to intercept these forces, so I think this was supposed to be a defensive castle from the Viper, maybe judging by the amount of stone he has. But he decides, well, I'm just not gonna do it because, you know, there is a bunch of crossbows and knights coming my way, so it's gonna be a fallback force for now. And I think Leary and Hera now know that Viper just doesn't want to take this fight. He's going up to Imperial. Hera also on his way to Imperial. Taro and Leary will soon follow. And I think Viper just wants to decide this one. He's running straight towards the base of Hera here. Might be a bit premature, but he's sacrificing his own stables for a big push on the base of Hera. Try to rush inside, but the quick balls are nice from Hera. Still, Cavalier will be arriving, and this is where Franks get their other great bonus. The Cavalier health is gonna make them even more impressive. Fully upgraded knights already, that's not something that Hera has. He's missing the iron casting upgrade. But with Cavalier and plate bonding armor, these guys will be insanely hard to kill. Leary is also going up to Imperial though, and that's not something that Taro would actually do. So this is super, super important as well. Anyways, knight numbers. We got 25 knights from Hera, 22 from Viper. The problem is that those knights are very soon Cavaliers. Viper is replacing all of those stables, and with the castle going up, Chivalry will be arriving, as Bielo says as well. Apparently Leary is gonna start stonewalling, preparing for a late game here. As what is this stonewalls? This is supposed to be like, where is your trade gonna go? That's my problem with these stonewalls. Like, are you actually expecting your trade to go through here? But apparently Leary is just gonna stonewall himself around, saying, hey, Hera, well, bad luck for you, because I'm just gonna stonewall myself. Problem is that the hole is still wide open. Taro moving in with the crossbows as the Cavaliers now arrive for the Viper. And is he gonna go for Paladin straight away? Not really. Imp time is there as well for Hera, so he's gonna have the Cavaliers very soon. Problem is that Teuton Cavaliers are far worse than Viper's Frankish Cavaliers, as they have just absolutely destroyed the forces here of Leary without any chance of using them. Paladin upgrade on the way for Viper. That's an upgrade that takes a lot of time to finish. However, what is Leary gonna do to defend against this one? As Hera is trying to catch up, but guess what? One thing that Teuton Cavalry doesn't have is speed. And indeed, now it's gonna be a quick walling attempt here. Crossbows coming in from Viper, or from Taro, and Taro is gonna deny the second layer. Gate will be going down very, very soon. And oh man, those are the knights, those are the paladins now. Soon to be paladins at least. Hera, not fully upgraded Cavaliers. He is missing Iron Casting and Blast Furnace, and he also has lower HP than the Cavaliers of the Viper, so the Franks definitely have the clear advantage here, as a few Cavaliers will just run inside. This is not necessarily about destroying the army of Leary here, this is more likely just about crippling his eco, as he's falling down to 70 villagers. And well, Taro will lose most of his crossbows here. Taro going up to Imperial, massing more and more crossbows of his. That will also mean that he's gonna have a very, very good force of Vietnamese arbs that are fairly good. Cavaliers raiding attempt coming up from Hera here on the northern side, as soon Viper's aggression will be cleaned up here. But Paladin is almost ready. Paladin coming in as well for Hera. So, still the problem for Hera is that he is not having all of the upgrades that are necessary. And Viper might be considering adding some halberdiers over here, or he's just gonna fight this with his own paladins. Paladins against the Cavaliers of Hera over here. This is clear advantage for the Franks over here. And with the ARPs coming in from the Vietnamese, this is the big advantage. 48 HP compared to the ones of Leary with 40. However, Hera does have a decent amount of army, 41 military compared to just Viper's 18, and that's not an impressive number. Also, Leary only has 7 army compared to Taro's 20, but neither of them are super, super impressive numbers. Viper is gonna place his markets over here. The map is not very suitable for late game market positioning though, so it's gonna be tricky to see how these players will be utilizing the market. And what do we have? Are we having a GG from Hera? Apparently we do. I'm not sure what prompted this GG, but well, this is interesting. Let's try to analyze what happened here. Maybe these Cavaliers getting probably destroyed by the orbs. Or what? Maybe Leary getting completely crippled here. I think that's the thing. So, like, Leary lost a lot of villagers. Leary is down to 64. That's an awful lot of losses. So I do understand that. It's just weird that it actually happened on this time. So yep, first game in the hands of Secret. Very, very nicely done here on Arabia. So that's where we are actually at. And then we will go to the home map of Aftermath. And if you take a look at this screen over here, for Aftermath's home map, we have... Oops, what happened here? Come on, draft. So, for AM's home map, we have Golden Pit and Cross. That's where we are going. I think it's gonna be Golden Pit then, as their next home map. I'm just gonna take a look at the statistics screen over here as we go back into this scene. So, statistics screen, we got resources-wise, military panel isn't really working, so that's not something to pay a major attention for. Resources, this is interesting though. As you can see, this is the main difference between Vietnamese and the Japanese in this game. 1,000 more food for Leary, 3,000 more wood for Tadado, as well as more gold. So it's interesting, probably because he had more villagers for most of the game after Leary suffering those losses. But one thing I want to point out as well, not only did Viper manage to just run around, kill a lot of villagers, take very advantageous fights, he also picked up 3 relics that I completely missed out on. So this is so much micromanagement from the Snake, and that is just played out so well.